Sportsnet Lakers. I'm Allie Clifton. Joining me is our Lakers insider, Mike Bresnahan, and GM of the Sports Business Classroom and NBA salary cap guru. We have not seen you in way too long, our friend Larry Kuhn. Hello.
How you doing? It's like I didn't even have to leave the house. It's amazing.
Allie, if you're saying the word guru, I know it's not to describe me or Chris McGee. It's to describe the one, the only Larry Kuhn. Glad you're on, especially with free agency right around the corner. Let's do it, right?
Perfect timing. It's like our producers knew exactly what they were doing. Always. They do. Larry, good to see you.
Yeah, Larry.
As always, we got a jam-packed show. Let's get to it. The newest Laker, Dennis Schroder, responding to LeBron's Instagram story, where LeBron welcomed him, saying a flat-out dog added to a pack of them. Schroder responded, "Let's get it, Brody." Now, with the deal finalized, Lakers general manager and VP of basketball operations Rob Pelinka discussed bringing Dennis on board.
Dennis is a player that other teams hate to play against, but his teammates love to play with because he has that kind of nasty tenacity, grit, and that's really at the center of how we play and how we win. And so he really folds in perfectly to that. And then I think he gives us offensively just another elite playmaker, both on the ball or, on the ball in a pick and roll situation or off the ball as a scorer. So he really just fits us perfectly. He's been a player we've pursued, not just in this trade deadline, but before. We pursued him aggressively. To finalize the transaction and bring him to the Lakers is really satisfying. I think it's easy to fall into complacency when you win a title and to just say, hey, let's just run it back. But at the same time, I think my school of thinking is always, let's find ways if we can even get better. Every offseason, let's get better. And I think we never want to just settle. And I think this was an opportunity to get better. I think the combination of high IQ players, but that also play with like a tenacity and a high level of confidence and not backing down is kind of the core of the type of players we want to assemble the team with. And that starts obviously with LeBron and Anthony Davis, our two captains last year. They are constantly attracted to players that have that grit and have that nature. And I think we had a roster full of guys like that last season and want to make sure for the roster that we have for 2021 that thread is relevant there as well.
Now, you'll hear more with Rob in my one-on-one interview later in the show. But, Larry, I want to start with you. From a cap standpoint, the Lakers have Schroder on a one-year deal. What does it mean going forward if they want to re-sign him next season?
One of the nice things about doing trades is that you inherit those bird rights, the ability to exceed the cap to keep the guy. So they're going to have full bird rights to Schroder after this coming season, which means they can max him out. They can give him 5 years. Essentially, they're in the driver's seat. I doubt they're going to give him a max contract, but they can outbid every other team who might be competing for his services. So if he's looking for the best contract, he's going to get it from the Lakers most likely. If he's looking for the team fit, like Rob said, he's a good fit. I mean, Rob has always looked for players who were fighters, who were tenacious, and he got that in Schroder. Plus good shot creation when LeBron's off the floor.
Yeah, Larry, to me, it's the third piece of the offensive puzzle for the Lakers. No more guesswork about who's going to step up every night, scoring-wise, behind LeBron and AD. He probably will be the guy almost every night with the third most points on the team. What did you think of the trade, though, overall?
I liked it a lot. Obviously, Danny Green is a big piece to give up. With AD and with Bron, you want guys who can spread the floor. You want guys who can knock down the three. You want guys who can defend. Danny Green, okay, you could say that it was a little bit of an off year for him, but it was a odd year for everybody. I think that his three-point shooting they're going to miss. His perimeter D is better than Schroeder's was, but they got back another facet, and now I assume one of their missions is to go out and find more shooting.
We usually look to Larry for numbers and dollars, but look at him assessing talent. We love it.
He's better than me. He should be the new Laker analyst here. I mean, he's...
No doubt. Moving on, Anthony Davis won his first NBA title with the Lakers last season. He's now the only player to win an NBA title, an NCAA championship, and FIBA World Cup, and an Olympic gold medal. So what is Anthony Davis doing to get ready for his 9th NBA season with a shortened off season? He discussed it with Yahoo Sports' Chris Haynes.
I mean, I think we did a good job of taking care of the bodies in the bubble. But for me, I'm not going as intense as I would be during the off season. Going every other day while still trying to let the body recover, but still get that work in, knowing that the season, camp starts in 2 weeks. So, I mean, you kind of just right now I'm not sure for everyone else, but for me, it's a lot of more, maintaining, everything that I did in the bubble, kind of maintaining instead of, let's move all this heavy weight and everything like that, because how I usually do it is, maybe 6 weeks of, hard weight training and then kind of scale back 2 weeks before the season and kind of just, do a lot of body movement things and stuff like that where you don't have that time here. The time is of the essence right now. So just kind of fluctuate that and trying to experiment with something new and just see how it works.
Without it being official, we can almost guarantee that we're going to see Anthony Davis back in a Lakers uniform.
Oh, yeah.
But Larry, I got to ask you, what are some contract scenarios you can see the Lakers offering AD? What do you think that'll look like?
As much as he wants for as long as he wants is the bottom line, because obviously he is a max player. He is in that middle maximum band, which means he is in that 7 to 9 year range. So his maximum is going to be about $32.75 million. Not a worry whatsoever. He's going to get that salary, the maximum 8% raises. The question is going to be for how many years are they going to sign him? And there's a couple of scenarios. The first scenario I'm going to call the lock it all in scenario. Sign him for 5 years at that, keep him in this contract for a long time. But there's another scenario there, and I call that the get to 10 scenario. Once he gets to 10 years in the league, he is going to qualify for that 10-year maximum salary, which starts about $6 million higher this year. It could go up from there. So if he signs a 2-year deal, gets to his 10th year, becomes a free agent then as a 10-year player locks in a long deal, he's set.
Larry, a lot of people say, okay, maybe he'll do 1 year plus a player option. If you had a bet, do you think he would go for 2 or more years, plus maybe an option on top of that right now?
I'm on the fence right now. I kind of assume that players in that situation, and especially currently, and LeBron was one of the trendsetters for this, they don't necessarily lock in as many years as they possibly can. So he might go for that couple of year scenario. Let's say 2 years plus an option year. He's at 3 years. If he wants to stay in, if he wants to opt out after that second year, he can do that. The other factor here is that we could have a new collective bargaining agreement then. Rules could change, and if they change in his favor, that might also affect his decision.
Yeah, and Larry, I'm sure you're watching Giannis Antetokounmpo as well. And when you have a player who's an MVP or first-team All-NBA, AD was first-team All-NBA. What does that mean for him salary-wise? He can also kind of escalate his clauses eventually, can't he?
Yeah, the difference between Giannis and AD, and it's a big difference, AD was traded, which means AD is not eligible for that supermax, which starts at an even higher salary. He could lock in that 10-year max now. Giannis is eligible for that. So I assume that he's going to lock in a supermax contract and start at the 10-year max salary, even though he doesn't have 10 years in the league yet.
Good stuff.
But bottom line, remind us again, for however much, for however long? Is that how that went?
That's my expert opinion.
That's why we came to you. Still to come, Rob Pelinka put together a championship roster for the Lakers. Ahead, we'll hear from the Lakers GM on not standing pat in free agency. Plus, Adam Silver talks about the Lakers' shortened offseason and his thoughts on how that affects a soon-to-be 36-year-old LeBron. That's next.
I just lost my job.